So, welcome to Blood Runs Red, a very aptly named chapter most of the time because this one's actually kind of tough. You start out surrounded by quite a lot of enemies. There's even more in your way to the end. There's a couple of thieves that you have to be very quick to beat to these villages. Not only that, but there are also these vigilantes around the map. Now, vigilantes are, just to show something, there are some enemies that say mercenary. They're still considered part of the Dayan army, so fighting them is fine. But these vigilantes here, and also these two fighters down here are also considered vigilantes. So, vigilantes are worth bonus experience if they're still alive at the end of the chapter. This is much easier said than done, because like any enemy, they'll charge into you and get themselves killed. In particular, keeping these vigilantes alive is very, very difficult because of this guy right here. So, it's a generic enemy with a portrait, and he's not a boss. You know what that means? Yeah. Here's the thing though, I normally like to recruit Zihark early by having a certain someone go down here. The problem with that is, if you do that, he'll recruit himself on the enemy phase before the vigilantes move, and it's likely that all three of them will attack him and all die. So, that happens to me in most of my playthroughs, and to be honest, I actually kind of consider it poetic justice, but here I might want to try and avoid that, and I actually did find a strategy online that helped with this. I was looking around and trying to find a way to get Zihark without killing the vigilantes. I was able to find one. It involves sending Leth or Mordecai around here to go sort of the back way and to stand just outside of Zihark's range and recruit him from above. That way you get to talk to him on your turn, and we can also, as a bonus, use him to visit this village right after, and that'll also put him out of the vigilante's attack range. So about the villagers here, remember when I said that you needed to bear in mind the people's animosity towards Laguz here? The villagers in this chapter will only give you items if you visit them with Bjork characters. If you visit them with Laguz, I don't think they will shut their doors, but they will just scream at you and not give you an item. So, yeah, you cannot get the items with Laguz characters. Just bear that in mind. Okay, so, I should also probably mention, firstly, this is an Arrive map. This is our first Arrive chapter. Arrive is essentially the same as Seize, except it doesn't have to be Ike. Anyone can do this, so we just need to have anyone reach this square. We also have a boss here, Makoya. I don't know why, but I kind of like saying his name that way. And he has a Master Seal, and he's a sword and bow paladin with a Laguz Slayer, so watch out for Leth and Mordecai attacking him. His stats are actually kind of solid. Doesn't have any skills though. One more thing about this chapter. This house right here. You want to stay away from this house as much as you can. There's a reason for it. Let's just say this house is a meme in the Japanese fandom, and for very good reasons. You want to stay 8 spaces away from this house at all times. Except in the first few turns, because then you can afford to go around it. But after that, stay away from that house. So, who are we going to bring here? I want Mordecai, I actually might be able to use Volk here. Might want Marsha just for the extra movement, may want Oscar as well. I don't think I want Brom or Boyd, unfortunately. Rice is going to be a little bit more baggage to carry around, and I think that's fine. Like, I'm okay with not bringing in other characters. So, repositioning, I kind of like to have Soren close to here, because I like to have him take down these enemies. So, as you can see, we have 4 enemies right on our starting positions. And getting rid of all 4 of them in the first few turns is kind of vital to keeping people like Mist alive. However, I will need Mordecai to go down here to smite Titania just to get her closer to this village. And I might actually need Leth to go up here as well. I'll lock in these Vigilantes ranges mostly because I just don't want to end up accidentally killing them. Most of the time, I end up inevitably killing these two because they do rush for you, unlike these ones who tend to stay put unless you get in their range. So if these two die, then yeah, it just kind of happens sometimes. Also, Kieran, I think he's okay with weapons. His base stats are solid enough that we can pretty much start using him right off the bat. May need Oscar back here. Marsha might need to rescue someone, so I'll just keep her around in case we need to do that. Might as well send you back there. I may need Kieran back here, actually. Do you double these soldiers? I think you do. Okay, so with that done, gonna go ahead and save, and then, oh boy, yeah, this chapter could easily take me a few attempts. So let's begin. We might remember this guy from a village back in Chapter 3. He was obviously going to become important later. This is the guy that we need to see. Well, at least he has pretty good cover. Unfortunately, it's not really going to help. Well, he's got to stay quiet for the time being. We better get rid of this guy before we set sail. Yeah, he's already suspicious. Now, this line is interesting. It implies there's a turn limit to this chapter, but there isn't. It would probably make more sense if there was. And we're about to find out why this house is really bad. It's not directly pointed at, on the map, but anyway, who is our special guest? Why, it's the Black Knight! Yep! Oh boy, this is one of the reasons why this chapter is so infamous. Oh, right. So, us doing that may have caused problems. Well, we better avoid these guys because we actually are her location. And they don't know that yet. Yes, yes. Please show some restraint, please. So thankfully we don't have to deal with him yet. Notice how I said yet. Also, there's actually more enemies here than were on the map at the start. That's because some of them are about to be gone. I kinda wish Ranulph lured more than just 3 enemy soldiers away, but oh well. It's kind of weird how they do this, try to avoid fighting the Vigilante group, because, I don't know, it just... Yeah, it doesn't really make all that much sense to me, but I guess it's like, you know, they're just regular civilians who don't know any better, and also fighting them would mean that, that might cause problems for our reputation with this village, but it's still kind of weird. And again, there's no real story repercussions if they do die, it's mostly you just lose out on bonus experience. It's not quite as dumb as a certain situation that happens in Radiant Dawn where they really make it look like, oh great, you not gaining strength earlier might have been really bad. Okay, good, at least you can kill one of the soldiers. And you can kill that one too. Okay, so might as well go for this one then. But yeah, in Radiant Dawn there's a chapter where they make it seem like something, like doing a certain thing. Oh hey, critical already. Would be really, really bad for you, but all it does is just cost you bonus experience. That chapter's also kind of done with bonus experience in one other way, but I shouldn't really be talking about that. You might also notice those off-map Wyvern Riders there. you actually want to try and get as far away from the starting point of the map as possible early on. And it's not really for the reasons you would think. It's not so much for a threat to you, but more like you won't be able to avoid conflict with a certain character if you don't. Okay, so that's another enemy down, and vigilante movement ranges, okay. Let's see if, I probably should have given you like a steel axe or something, but anyway. You might notice here, this is how gamble works. You can choose to use gamble when you're attacking, and it halves your hit rate but doubles your crit rate. In this case, it's pretty much pointless. You really only ever want to use gamble with killer weapons. Even then, like, a lot of people don't like the gamble skill. I personally think that gamble on snipers is actually really fun because snipers have so much of a hit rate that often they can afford to, like, with halved accuracy, they often still have a 70% hit rate, which under true hit is really not bad. And they might also have a 100% chance of critical with a killer bow. So gamble can be pretty fun sometimes. But it's mostly useful when you, 1, have killer weapons, and 2, have much, much higher skill so that you don't lose that much accuracy. Because it is half of your actual hit, I believe, not your actual in-battle accuracy. Okay. Anybody here need... Okay, Kira needed healing. Oh, right, I don't even need to smite Titania. She can get to blocking off that village right from where she already is. That's good. I can actually send Mordecai around the other way. I'm gonna go for the hand axe here, just so that when this breaks, she'll switch to using the hand axe, so she'll be able to counterattack the javelins. This is actually kind of a... Well, I mean, it looks pretty basic on the battle screen, honestly, but I always kind of liked the way this map looked. I kind of felt like this was the default map, because now that I think about it, some of the earliest screenshots of Path of Radiance, when it was very early in development, seem to have come from this map. I guess it's a pretty generic village/field type of map, that makes sense. But yeah, a lot of these early screenshots seem to have come from here. Also in very early screenshots, Titania was a Lance Knight rather than a Paladin, and Ike's personal weapon was called the Longsword. Which is kind of weird, because while the longsword is in this game, it's an anti-cavalry weapon, rather than an actual personal weapon. I mean, Ike's personal weapon is still anti-cavalry, but it's also anti-armor. And also, oh yeah, that was that really, really early screenshot where Ike's name was Paris. That was kind of interesting, which was actually, we kind of lost the reference a little bit in the, localization of Awakening, but that's why his descendant has a, well, hotly debated descendant to some people, in Awakening has a, Trojan-inspired name, although in the Japanese version, his name actually was Paris. So yeah, he's named after Ike's beta name. Meanwhile, these vigilantes are here. And now you sound like you're talking about Buckbeak, who, when I first read the Harry Potter books, I thought that the Hippogriff's name was Buckbeat. I don't know why I could have done that, because it was in writing. But anyway. That doesn't sound like the kind of person who might join our army, but we'll see his deal later. And yeah, that's why those guys are annoying. Yeah, it's so hard to avoid killing those lower vigilantes, because they just run right at you. And yeah, I mean, I could try and avoid fighting them, but I don't know. The hand axe guy, it's possible I may be able to avoid fighting him, but I don't want him to be attacking my healers. And I would just rescue rescue Mist with Marsha, but that would mean that I can't use Mist to heal, and I may need Mist healing. Because things can get kind of rough in this chapter. And I actually want to break through these guys quickly so I can get rid of the thieves. Because sometimes, if they notice that the upper village has been blocked, also here's a left critical. Wow, one-shotting an armor knight with a critical is pretty awesome. At this point, left is pretty powerful. But yeah, like I was saying, Sometimes if the thieves realize the upper village has been blocked, they'll actually start going for the lower village, and I really don't want that. Really, really don't want that. Wonder if Leth can actually one-round you. I want to say no, but hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, I'm pleasantly surprised. That's exactly enough to one-round you. Nice. It's at least going to get you out of the way. Because, yeah, these guys also love to do that annoying cavalry thing of cantoing into just the right position to be as annoying as humanly possible. Mounted units love doing that in this game. I had a feeling Leth wouldn't be able to one-round both of them. So I guess we're about to see that annoying canto. Or not. Sometimes they don't do it, but of course, sometimes they do. Yep, he did that annoying canto thing. And what's the thief going to do? Nope, the thief is heading this way. And this village is pretty much secure, but... This guy, there's no way that guy is surviving. But the vigilante with the hand axe, I don't know, he might be fine. I'm probably okay with letting him attack these two, because they can just heal each other, and he only has 3 speed. Yeah, it's always annoying when they try and, they're like, oh look, there are these very, very, very weak enemies, try and keep them alive. So yeah, this woman will not give you an item if you have a Lagoose visit this village, so just remember that. Elwind. Okay, that'll be kind of, useful. I still just, I can't see that tone without thinking of Smash Brothers now. But thanks to Shadow of Chaos's videos, I usually have the Japanese version of that in my head rather than the English version. Elwindo. It's always hilarious when Robin manages to spike someone, not with the Elwind itself, but with the broken tome as it flies out of his hands. Which definitely can happen. Like, I'm really, really not a competitive Smash Brothers player or anything, but I like to just... I main most of the Fire Emblem characters because it is my favorite series that's represented in Smash Brothers. I main characters just based on who I like. And so I did use Robin quite a bit. It helps that Robin's green palette looks a lot like the avatar that I made for my first Awakening playthrough. I wonder if Masha might be able to... I mean, she'll have... And she has very low chance of actually hitting, but... I might get lucky. No, that's fine. Yeah. Had a feeling that wouldn't happen. Okay, so what I was saying is... That guy... I mean, yeah, he's in range of someone, and that someone is left. Yeah, he is going to die. There's no way around it, so... I'm gonna have to resign myself to that fact. However... I would like to smite Soren, but... It's not that imperative that we get out of the early parts of this map too quickly, so I'm going to start a shove train. One more shove required. And that should get him in range. Yeah, there we go. I just hope that the hand axe guy isn't an idiot, which he very well could be. Being such low level, the vigilantes are worth pathetically low experience as well, so they do encourage you to not kill them, but I'm just getting this guy out of the way now because there's no way he's surviving this enemy phase. He is just going to attack someone and just die. Either that or Mist and I was about to say Mist and Rolf. I just always lump the two together. Mist and Rice will be in danger. Now I need to make sure that I do not equip any range weapons. Might as well just equip the regular Iron Lance because that's a bit less expendable. And I guess Kieran will go down here and try and get that other village. And no one can go through here. You'll have to remember, these fences are completely passable, so they're not like any kind of defensive terrain or anything. Just bear that in mind. People can easily reach you through the fences. Oh, actually, I just realized this is bad. I just realized why I like to have Leth run around here and get to Zihark from behind, because this guy is going to go and block off Mordecai, and we do not want to be stuck in front of this house. And I also don't want to use that Lagoose Stone, because it could see more use later in the game. And once again, enemies running away to heal. And thankfully this guy is not attacking someone who can counterattack, which is great. Which means that you get to live to fight another day. Only because I'm taking mercy on you. You're lucky you're worth bonus experience. Oh yeah, that thing that I was talking about before, so... The Lagoon Slayer. Some people think, I saw a suggestion on a forum once to actually fight the Vigilantes in this chapter with the Lagoon Slayer, just for a sense of irony. Okay, even though this is fire... Yeah, as you can see, not much damage, even with an effectiveness bonus. Because magic is pretty weak in this game. Oh, wow, you're in a position where I can't even smite you out of the way. Because you're directly on a corner. Oh, okay, I was hoping that he'd dodge because tigers in human form dodging is one of the funniest things ever. They actually do... Oh, actually, he cantered into a position where I can smite him, that's funny. Because they do a backflip, and because they're so huge and bulky, they literally shake the ground when they backflip. It's pretty amusing. Or at least I'm pretty sure that's their dodge animation in this game. I'm not thinking of... Actually, no, I'm sure their Radiant Dawn dodge animation is a bit different. That's more they just pull back slightly, but the one in this game is pretty funny. Oh, great. Okay, I can't even smite you. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's actually really bad. I have to change my plans now. I'm gonna instead have Left break through here and go around the long way to behind that house. Because there is no way Mordecai is breaking through those 3 enemies before, let's just say, something happens. Something that we really don't want to happen to Mordecai, so let's get him out of the way. Right, we need to get moving as well, because like I said, you want to be very far away from the starting position. I'd also really like Nephany to be able to fight some things, but she's a little out of the way. It's the problem with on-foot units in this game, but I can at least visit this village. Not attack, and that automatically equip the... No, it didn't automatically equip the hand axe. Sometimes just, like, hovering over the weapon on the attack screen is enough to equip it. Okay, thankfully she's not turning us in. And for that we get a Draco Shield, which isn't bad. But now that means I don't need to worry about these thieves. What I do need to worry about is that Leth is almost out of transform meter. Also, the boss has a Lagoon Slayer, so I'm gonna have to sneak Leth past him somehow. He's got quite a lot of movement range, too. You still haven't gained enough speed to be doubling these guys, which is really a shame. So I guess Titania will have to smack one of them and then run. You have a 7 crit rate, seriously. Probably because of your really high skill stat, and at this point enemies' luck stats aren't really that high to compensate for it. Okay, that guy down. Titania needs to keep moving, because she's probably going to need to clear a path for Leth, who I really wish had Kanto right now. Because then I could just hit that guy and then have her keep moving. But no, we will instead have to... Okay, that's actually doing a little more than I thought it would. 21 attack, and you have 8 defense. So that means it will be 13 damage, and 13 plus 8 is enough to kill you, so yeah. However, if Oscar gets the first hit in... I mean, this isn't Marsha has to hit, but she'll... Wait a minute. I don't think that's enough damage for Marsha to finish this guy off. This is mostly because I want Leth to keep running around. Yeah, I don't think you do 10. No. Not quite enough. Which means I actually have to do this. And that's going to mean you're probably going to be untransformed later on. Crit, I guess. That doesn't have the same ring to it as Britannia. I mean, she's named after one of the rivers of Hades, I think, so kind of makes sense for her to be powerful. Like... Oh, crap. Right. Well, this is what I have Marsha for. That plus 4 defense. I mean, I don't think you'll actually kill her, but regardless, I'm gonna need to rescue you away anyway. And I shall keep Rice out of range of you. I just use the free experience staff. Looks kind of interesting in this game. Almost looks like it's an attacking staff, but it's not. Oh, actually that guy's running away. Yeah, I do think these guys are programmed, well, not these guys, enemies in general are programmed to target your main ward. Not that that's really going to help in this case. Okay, I need to get rid of these 3 as well. You know what? That might be the perfect opportunity for Nephany to do stuff. Mordecai's going to transform soon as well, because he's been attacked quite a lot. Meanwhile, some of these guys are moving in, which means Titania might get MVP again, even though I'm kind of aiming for Nephany to get MVP. Or not. There's a lot of annoying mounted units in this chapter. And that thief's just not really going to do much for the rest of this battle, but that's a problem. And even with Mordecai transformed, I need to keep him away from this house. I think it's either turn 6 or turn 8 where, quote-unquote, that thing happens. But I think I'm safe for... Wait a minute. I thought so. Yeah, I can't have Mordecai go there because then one of the vigilantes will die. Maybe I shall smite Sorin, just because. Might have to use Kirin for a little bit here. And you need to run away. I don't think they'll be able to get to Rice even after Ike moves. And you're probably going to focus on someone weaker. If I have Nephany go over here and equip a Javelin just to... I mean, it's not really going to help because this guy is probably going to attack someone who can't... Or not. If I move Nephany around here, I think that might block him. Or, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, you can still get down there. So you might still end up attacking Ike. Oh well. Gotta hope that one of those vigilantes doesn't end up being stupid. And are you a weak... No, wait, you're a priest. No, you are a non-weakened cavalier. I will just attack this thief because why not? And we have demonstration of knives being pathetic in this game. Oh, you need healing actually. But a lot of these guys are sword users. None of them have javelins though. Let's just get rid of one of the does slightly more damage to Oscar Cavaliers. Yeah, my plan to send Leth up this side probably wasn't a good idea because, yeah, she's a lot better served going around the house. Because she can actually fight the enemies in her way, unlike Mordecai. Okay, 6 and then 1. Okay then, I have to use this, which is bad because that means I might get doubled. And that at least hits, which is good. And their 2 horses are nuzzling each other, and oh wait, no, one of the horses is gone. Yeah, horses always do kind of silly things in the random animations here. Yeah, let's just move them here so there's a screen. Even though I need to have Leth either swing around or have Mordecai swing around the back. The strategy that I read about generally wants you to finish this in 8 turns. I think that does get you the maximum amount of bonus experience. Anyway, Soren hasn't fought nearly enough enemies here. Oh, there's another level for him. Level 17 already. I might actually get Soren promoted way earlier than I usually do. Generally, I see my first promotions at around chapter 5. Actually, no, more like 16. Yeah, around 16 is when I tend to see my first promotions. I usually get some just before 15, and then the rest come in 16. Running back to range of healers. I kind of admire they were able to create self-preservation AI like this. Kind of had a feeling you'd do that. I don't think you're going to be doubling. Well, you're not going to be hitting at all. I was about to say something about Radiant Dawn, but in fact, I might as well not say that because, yeah. Let's focus on this game. I'll have plenty of time to talk about Radiant Dawn during Radiant Dawn. Okay, now let's hope the rest of the enemies, sort of eliminate themselves. These steel sword guys can give Kieran a bit of trouble sometimes, but there aren't that many left. And well, you're attacking from defensive terrain, but yeah. So I mean, to some extent, the AI in this game is actually kind of decent. That was a lot less damage than I thought you would be doing, Anthony. Ah, okay, yeah. Here's the point where you want to be away from the starting position. Oh no, not more of this. We already had enough of this on our hands, and now we have even more bloodthirsty maniacs entering the fray. This is also the first appearance of a character that, like, a lot of people really love. Well, good of the enemies to actually explain their AI behaviors. So, as long as you ignore these Wyvern Riders, they won't actually hurt you, at least I'm pretty sure. But here's Jill. She has a Laguz guard, which halves damage done by Laguz attacks. Unlike the Bjork guard, this one was actually properly translated. But let's just leave her alone for the time being. I know that she's an enemy with a portrait, but... well, let's just say there's nothing we can do with her now. And that's why we want to avoid her. Speaking of things we want to avoid, this house. This house is still terrifying, and I still want to get away from it as fast as possible. I might actually be able... no, I think it's turn 6, and I think... okay, so from here, you have 8 movement, don't you? So if you go here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That does not get you away from that house by turn 6. And I'm pretty sure, quote-unquote, that thing happens at the start of the enemy phase. So you... really? Well, that's frustrating. You know, I'm pretty sure these wyverns don't actually move unless they are... like, unless you directly try and attack them. Well, that's good, at least. And I kind of have to do this because I don't want to test those wyverns. I really don't want to end up luring them. I love the soldier javelin animations, they're just so fast. Nephenie's animations in general are pretty great, although I would have appreciated if she gained more strength earlier. Right, I need to possibly get rid of both of these guys. I'm doubling with the Iron Blade, and that will actually finish you off. However, if I fail to do that, then bad things may be in store for Nephenie, and obviously I don't want that. But let's try. I love the way blades look, just these massive swords. Also, look at Ike, he's wielding a two-handed sword with a single hand. I don't know why Smash Bros. Made such a big deal out of that. That was never really something that Path of Radiance acknowledged, but the moment that Smash Bros. Said that, they actually incorporated it into Ike's Radiant Dawn official website information, which is interesting. Okay, I think it's about time to start luring the boss in now, although I'd really like Nephany to be able to finish the boss off. And yes, it's times like these when I really wish that the Lagoo's characters had Kanto. Uh-oh. I didn't count on Mordecai not being able to finish you off. That could be a problem, actually. Yeah, Volk actually has to stand exactly where he is, otherwise Rice is going to get attacked by this guy. Might as well go for some damage here. I think this is the first time we're seeing Mordecai attacking in Tiger form. In my first playthrough, I used him quite a lot, but even though hard mode isn't that hard in this game, I think it gives enemies just enough speed to the point where Mordecai is not nearly as useful as he is on the other difficulties. Great, yeah. Soren has to go where Kieran is in order to maximize, burnage, I guess. And Pointless Adept, yay. I don't think he's ever activated a Adept where it would actually matter in this entire playthrough. That'll probably change later on, although by the time he does start activating Adept more, he'll be getting to the point where he's one-rounding nearly everything with magic, so might not even be that useful. Anyway, Steel Lance. If you are going to try luring this guy, you want to be using a ranged weapon. Okay, I've lost exactly 10 HP, I might as well use this. And I need to thin out these enemies a bit more before I have Leth make a run for the upper village here. There's a certain safe spot along those walls that I want to get to. Well, around the fences, I mean. Or I could try and have wait a minute. Okay, Marsha is just enough to pick up Leth. I could actually have Marsha ferry her over. Alright, actually, you need to be 2 higher, don't you? Yeah, to rescue. So Marsha can't carry Leth, unfortunately. You mean, Volk, you have to stay there? It's sometimes easy to fall into the trap of, oh, I haven't moved this person yet. I better move them, and forget that you didn't move them for a very specific reason. I have a story to share about that with the next chapter. Yeah, you continue to just run around being useless. Because you are literally worth more to us alive than dead. And here comes the boss. Attacking in melee range because I had a 1-2 range weapon. And this is our first instance of seeing the generic paladin model. I also kind of like this line. He's slowly starting to realize that that he may be in trouble. He's definitely in trouble now. Oh, wow. And he's actually dead. Well, guess we know who's getting MVP this chapter again. First, the rest is up to you of this game. It's pretty much a stock Japanese phrase, because it shows up so often, but especially in Fire Emblem, it shows up a lot. And, I didn't want Titania to be the one to do that, but, oh well. I really shouldn't have expected any less from Titania. Kind of wanted Nephany to finish that boss off, but oh well. Guess I'll have to make up for it with bonus experience. Yeah, normally I have Nephany do a lot more in this chapter, but because I had to switch around my strategy with the, yeah, with the having the Lagoos run around. Speaking of, okay, you're fully healed. Yeah, I might have to have you run in. Steel Lance, and you actually wouldn't be able to get to Soren if he goes there anyway, so I can probably afford to have Soren fight this guy. And not do enough, and not do enough even with Thunder. Nice. I'll have to do things the hard way. Kieran's also usually a lot more effective for me in this chapter. I don't know why he's not doubling a lot of these enemies. Must have just got kind of unlucky with their stat rolls. And yes, you can go out of range, good. So he goes out, Soren goes in and uses fire. I'll probably make a forge tome for Soren later. Because wind is really expensive to forge. Which I guess makes sense because it is pretty light and probably gets the biggest benefit out of being forged. Yeah, so I kind of feel like in the Japanese version where forging cost a lot more, money actually had a purpose. The boss also has special quote for Leth and Mordecai, by the way. Pretty much, like, you know how most generic bosses have special dialogue when fighting Ike? They usually have generic dialogue for any Lagoos as well. Their Lagoos dialogue tends to be dependent on tribe too, so they'll have like one quote for the Beast tribe, one for the Bird tribe. Yeah. Although at this point, most of them have separate quotes for Leth and Mordecai, though usually the boss doesn't react any differently, but it's more like Leth and Mordecai. Usually Leth is like, grr, I'll kill you, whereas Mordecai is like, I'm so sorry about this, but we must fight. Speaking of special boss dialogue, something that I only found out by looking up the scripts here, Jill actually has special death dialogue if she is killed by either Leth or Mordecai in this chapter. Which is interesting. Makes sense given the way she's introduced, but at this point, I kind of don't recommend looking up that special death dialogue for her though. And this is why you want to be as far away from this house as possible by turn 6. This is probably the most infamous thing about this chapter. The Black Knight comes out of that house at the start of the enemy phase, meaning that he's effectively an ambush spawning reinforcement, which normally don't exist in this game. He is the only one in the game, so if anyone is within 8 spaces of the front of that house, they're dead. No questions asked, they're dead. Also, we get to see Leth in human form here. But yes, they are dead, 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 dead. 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 There is just absolutely no words to describe how much overkill they'll get, because I'm going to show you the Black Knight stats in a moment, and yeah, you do not want to fight this guy. Not only that, he actually does move. Thankfully, he only moves like 2 or 3 spaces per turn, but oh boy, okay, yeah, the fact that he does move means I need to be very careful here. Because look at this! 27 speed on a general, and also max strength, a 1 to 2 range sword that has infinite uses and has 18 might. Luna, which halves the enemy's defense when it hits. No one's surviving that, and he also heals every turn, which is not necessary because he's literally invincible at this point. Only certain weapons can pierce his armor, and we don't happen to have any of them. So, you can't hurt him. He can do an enormous ton of damage to you. Don't even try fighting this guy. Even Titania, if she tries to fight him, she will die. Anyone who fights him will die. What's also kind of interesting is, this chapter has unique dialogue if, not just if Ike fights the Black Knight here, but if Ike somehow survives a round of combat against the Black Knight. There's actually unique dialogue for that. Even if you bonus experience Ike up to level 20, there is almost no chance of him surviving unless you either A, have Miracle, or B, are extremely lucky. From what I've seen, the Black Knight has to miss at least once in order for Ike to survive, and given how high his accuracy is, that's a very tall order. But if Ike does somehow fight the Black Knight during this chapter and somehow survive, you get a little bit of additional dialogue at the end where Mist and Titania basically yell at him for being a reckless idiot. For good reason. But yeah, good luck seeing that dialogue, because, I mean, literally, because the only way for Ike to survive a fight with the Black Knight at this point is absurd amounts of luck. You need to get incredibly lucky to do that. Hitting with 289s or 179? Probably 179. You know what, depending on the direction the Black Knight starts moving, I might actually have to send Mordecai back and try and approach the house from below. Because they generally have enough movement, the Laguz characters I mean, to circumvent his range, but even then... Oh, I still don't like this. I wonder if he goes like up there... Because, yeah, he only moves less than his normal movement range if nobody is in his range. If anyone is in his range, he will attack them. So, you've got to keep that in mind. Oh, yeah, this could actually be really, really terrible. I wonder if I can play Let's Confuse the Black Knight. See if... I don't know if he's always moving constantly this way, or if he can move backwards, or if it's based on, like, which enemy is closest. Oh yeah, I guess with the Black Knight's arrival, this chapter is kind of timed. Because if he somehow reaches this area before you do, then you're kind of done. Only one person needs to reach the arrive point, though. It's about to call it a seize point, but that's kind of what it is. Arrive is essentially seize, except it doesn't discriminate between characters. Anyone can do it. They kind of ruined that in Radiant Dawn, because every Arrive chapter in Radiant Dawn requires a specific character to do it. Okay, so he does seem to be heading this direction. Can Leth circumvent? No, she can't. Okay. So I might actually have to wait for him to get around here and approach from below with more. Although Mordecai's going to run out of transform gauge soon. Yeah, I probably should have planned this better. Because Leth is usually like, if you can get Leth to a certain point behind these fences, she's safe from the Black Knight on his first appearance, and then she can run in, recruit Zihark, Zihark can get that village, and then we just exit the chapter, and then everything's done. We don't have to worry about the Black Knight attacking anyone. But we do here. Oh boy, do we here. Because Nephany missed out on a bit of experience in this chapter, I'm going to have you skewer this guy, unfortunately. Don't like having Nephany fight defenseless healers, but it's kind of not in her character, but yeah. Her shield is kind of weirdly positioned on her arm there. Oh, actually, no, it's not on her arm, it's actually by her side. Why are you holding the shield? Okay, no strength Nephany is starting to become a bit of a problem. She normally has a lot more strength than this by now. At least she has better defense than she usually does, looking at, you know, at least to look on the bright side. Okay, I really hope we can actually recruit Zihark before this chapter is over. I mean, we're in a pretty good position to finish this chapter up and then, leave. But the real question is, can we get to that village with someone? I like you can actually see the boat there. Didn't even need gamble for that. Though actually, I think this area of the map near that boat is the exact same, like, background that was used in Chapter 3. Yeah, I like how the 3DS games actually, like, the maps are fully rendered and just zooms in to whatever point the battle is taking place on. Although I think Echoes was the best about that. Echoes just had some really good attention to detail, like how you'd actually see stairs, you'd actually have height differences in the terrain, and yeah, it does heal you just like a seize point, so it essentially is a seize point. I'm kind of nervous here, though. I've already recorded for 50 minutes, and depending on how things go, I might have to redo this whole thing just because I made the wrong plan to get into this village. I forgot about all those enemies piling in on that side. Because, yeah, you need to break through them pretty quickly in order to get to the safe spot before the Black Knight shows up. Oh, yeah, that Japanese... Huh. Okay, I guess he does move towards the closest enemy. So if I keep leading you... Just need to stay out of there, so wait. So there. If I go around here, you keep heading down, I may be able to slip left past you. But I'll need to wait a couple more turns. Which is a shame because it means that I'll be missing out on bonus experience. Kind of like Neffany to finish off that guy, but I don't know if she's going to be able to. I wonder if Soren will hit his next rank in fire soon. But anyway, the meme surrounding that house. So, in the Japanese fandom, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, like, the fact that the Black Knight just pops out of that house when you least expect it is kind of the meme. And essentially, like, the phrase is, like, I think it's like, it was like a Japanese video that had Karen going near the house, and then the Black Knight just jumps out and says, Ya, Shikoku House e Yokoso, or something like that. Like, it roughly translates to, Sup, welcome to the Black Knight house. And that's kind of become a Japanese meme. So now you know, there are actually quite a few Japanese memes surrounding this game. The next one I can't really talk about until much, much later, but I think this is one of the biggest. The fact they recreated the whole Black Knight coming out of a house gimmick in one of the maps in Heroes, kind of says something about that. Okay, good. You are going all the way down. Okay, Leth has enough transform gauge. So if she goes here, she'll definitely be able to enter a safe spot next turn. All I need to do is just keep Mordecai out of your range. Which isn't hard, because this is actually as far as you can go, so all I need to do is just move you like there. Don't want you to be moving towards Leth, though. In fact, I think you might, because, yeah, you tend to move towards whoever's the closest. Can somebody shove you? Okay, you have 10 weight. Who can shove that? 11. That's not too higher. Don't actually think there's anyone here who can shove you, so that means I have to waste a few javelin uses. Oh well. Yeah, this is a little inefficient. I probably should have had Left go through here, but it did make the beginning of this chapter smoother. I find that if I don't use Left to secure this area early on, things can get a little bit difficult. I've had Oscar and even Titania come very close to dying guarding this area here. So, okay, where's the Black Knight going to move? Firstly, this guy's going to attack again. I might as well just cut out instances of this guy attacking because it's not really like it's doing much. Yeah, I thought he'd do that. Seems to go for whoever's closest, but is there a safe spot around here? There are multiple safe spots around here. However, there is only one safe spot that will not result in any dead vigilantes, and it is right there. Because that'll mean that Zihark can actually, okay, good, and there's no way Zihark can potentially end up in the Black Knight's range if he, yeah, that's good. Because trust me, I've had Zihark end up in the Black Knight's range before. Like, it's happened. And that was really, really tragic. Oh, actually, wait, no. If Zihark does go there and automatically talk to Left, one of the vigilantes is going to die. Except, no. I have enough movement to reach Zihark. I'm an idiot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to him. Now, so, annoyingly, doing it this way means I don't get to show off my favorite thing about Zihark. Is the fact that he actually automatically goes up to Leth or Mordecai to talk to them on his phase. Doing it that way really risks him slaughtering the vigilantes. But I like it because I love how the game sets him up as like this racist Lagoose hunter, and then he suddenly runs up to them and just says, I'm actually a mole, I'm on your side. I only joined these guys to stop them from killing you. Like, it's just pretty cool the way that he establishes his character like that. Oh boy, believe me, he does that if you let him. Unfortunately, they're worth bonus experience, so we don't want him to start cutting. I love how she hesitates there. It's like, yep, she's still being tsundere. We're almost leaving here anyway, it's fine. And so, he's on our team now. Here's Zihark.
Remember how I said there were other Myrmidons I liked using this game over Mia? Well, Zihark is one of two of them. Main reason I prefer him over Mia is that he has better strength and starts out being able to use a killing edge. In fact, he comes with one. And those are pretty good on a class that has a natural crit bonus. Like Mia, he also starts out with a fantastic skill, Adept, which we already saw on Soren, but Zihark has an even higher skill stat to make use of it. Echoing something I said in Mia's bio, most people actually recommend keeping this rather than removing it to teach Zihark Astra. Oh, and Zihark also has the amazing Earth Affinity. I've gone on about that in detail in earlier bios. Basically, anyone with Earth Affinity is a good support partner. Other than that, Zihark is pretty much your typical Myrmidon. He's got great skill and speed, but this time decent strength to back it up, though he is a bit of a glass cannon and not quite as good at dodging as Mia is, but I'd prefer higher strength personally. Most people don't like sword masters in this game due to them being sword locked and thus having no good 1-2 range options and also being on foot. I personally find them really fun just for their crit bonus, but I can understand why a lot of people don't like them. Anyway, when I use a sword master in this game, it's usually Zihark or one other that we'll be seeing later.
And I'm gonna have him immediately visit this village, because if left did, she would get chased out. Well, all the thieves are dead now, but I still want to visit this village anyway. Interesting about Zihark is that he originally had a different portrait, like in early versions of the game. He still looked the same, but yeah. And that's a good village to visit, because Killer Lance. Gonna want that for Nephany later. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that we need to do. Speaking of Nephany though, I'm so sorry, random priest, but Nephany needs the experience. And now we can safely get out of here. Like, seriously, as much as I would really, really like to try and show that alternate dialogue at the end of this chapter, it's just, it's pretty much impossible without absurd amounts of luck. Anyway, I'm just gonna have Marsha do this just because. So, map over. But the Black Knight continues to stalk. Uh-oh, Ranulph, you picked a very bad time to come back here. Ah, so Ranulph was also there that night. Ranulph was also there. That's interesting. He's not kidding. Seriously, he's really not kidding. Oh, this could end really badly. Thankfully, cutscene power is in full effect here, and Ranulph somehow survived a crit from the Black Knight, which, do not try that in the actual chapter, nobody will be able to survive that. We have a healer on hand. Guess we gotta thank them. Interesting. Jill seems a bit of a glory hog here. Direct orders from the Black Knight. You should probably follow those. Sorry, no Lagoos hunting for you today. Meanwhile, this guy, who has a very, a name that's easy to make fun of, well, luck saved us, I guess. Oh no. At least these villagers are finally getting some karma. Something to be thankful to Dayan for, I guess. And once they realize that, they immediately regret it, but too late for that now. Yeah. A very good thing that we're out of that village. I do not want to see that village ever again. So I think now is about where you get that extra dialogue with Mist and Titania if Ike fought the Black Knight and survived somehow. That is definitely true. Shadow Warrior is an interesting term. In Japanese, that's the literal translation of their word for body double. But Gifka's not really Kanega's body double, as you can probably tell. He's more like his bodyguard. But I believe the term Shadow Warrior has samurai origins. Or rather, its modern day use as body double is kind of like an appropriation of its original samurai era meaning. That's interesting. Of course it does. Of course it depends on Ike. Well, we're only fleeing because it's been necessary. Good point there. Yeah, Ranulph is going to be busy. Speaking of Dane's next target, we've got our very first Meanwhile in Villainland cutscene. Finally seeing this guy and hearing his, yeah, so if his appearance wasn't enough, he also has this theme. Yeah, everything about this guy just screams evil, but notice how he's referring to Grail by his original name. Finally, we know what they were looking for. It was kind of implied earlier. That medallion is obviously something special. But this is new. There is a traitor amongst us. There's only one person who that could be. Yeah, that guy was not a simple monk after all. Hopefully this means we won't be dealing with the Black Knight again for a while. And so we end this chapter with knowledge that there is a traitor amongst us. And as you can see, I got 200 bonus experience for the Vigilantes. I believe it's 50 per Vigilante. So one of them died, but I've never actually finished this chapter with all of them alive. It's just that one axe one is just almost impossible to keep alive unless you really rush things. But anyway, 200 bonus experience is nothing to sneeze at. So with that, Blood Runs Red is over. I guess I can actually mention, the Japanese name of this chapter is more like the color of the blood that flows, which I can see why they translated it this way, but when you think about it, it does make a lot of sense the Japanese way, because I feel like what they were going for is, no matter what race we are, we all bleed the same color. I think that's what they were going for. But anyway, enough about that. This chapter's already gone on for pretty long, so I will see you next time for our Voyage to Sea.